Well, hello there, my friends. Today we are going to review a brand new cryptocurrency. This one has just hit the streets somewhat recently, and I honestly think it's pretty amazing. What is it? Why does it matter? Should you get in on it? And will I cover the good, the bad, and the ugly on it? Spoiler alert, yeah, I always do, right? You guys know me. We're going to cover the cryptocurrency called Timestope coming right up. You cannot miss this video. All right, I don't know about you, but I am itching to dive into this just by way of introduction. If you are just now stumbling upon my channel, and I can't blame you if you've been searching for Timestope and trying to find a good neutral review, you've found the right place. And you've not only found the right place for Timestope, you've found the right home. My name is Wes Spencer. I am a tech founder, I'm a serial entrepreneur, and I am a cybersecurity nerd. Welcome to my channel where we cover all things technology and all of the things that interest me. If you're just now here or you've been a long time watcher, would you just hit the like and subscribe button? That's a super easy thing you can do to give back to me. Just one quick click of a button and that's all it takes. You guys know I love you, I appreciate you, so let's dive right into Timestope. So Timestope seems to have a really interesting beginning and genesis, and it happens to be something very similar to what Pi is doing in Pi cryptocurrency. It's simply this idea that Bitcoin started out with pure motives. It started out with this idea by Satoshi that anybody could get in on this digital currency. You could just spin up a computer and start mining. It was truly a currency for the masses. However, because nobody really knew where cryptocurrency was going to go, I mean, keep in mind, Satoshi was really pioneering something brand new. He couldn't foresee the proof of work challenges around all of this. In other words, that mining really went from being just something you could mine on a CPU to getting into GPUs, to people building GPU farms, to companies like Butterfly Labs, which I've mentioned them before. I actually had a Gen 1 Butterfly Labs right here if you want to take a look at what that little guy looked like. And then into what we call corporate mining. The sense now where you have huge organizations, especially out in China, that are doing mining at such scale and operation that nobody can compete with. And it's really left all the rest of us out. If I want to get in on mining in Bitcoin, good luck. It's not going to be possible because I simply can't make a profit because of what's happened at the scale of Bitcoin mining. And this is something that Pi, that Timestope, and others have seen as a challenge and as a problem in that the distribution of those funds is unfair. That it's not possible for a commoner like you or me to get involved in mining cryptocurrency, and we need to solve that challenge. Also compound this with this fact. Pretty much all of the cryptocurrencies that are coming out today, whether it's proof of work or proof of stake, they have this same challenge in that if I get into this and I want to truly mine in this, it's difficult. I either have to have a lot of cryptocurrency to do proof of stake, so to speak, or I have to have a ton of mining power to do proof of work. And I get it, whether it's Litecoin, whether it's Ethereum, which is now moving into phase 0, super cool, by the way, awesome, congrats to the Ethereum team for that, or literally the hundreds and hundreds of cryptocurrencies that are coming out every year, most of them are riddled with this problem. So it's something I understand, it's something I get. How do we get everyone to get into mass adoption and mass usage and mass mining when it seems to limit those that really want to get in, especially those that may be resource strapped, especially those that are maybe overseas and just now getting into cryptocurrencies themselves? This is a problem, I get it. And this is why when you read the white paper from Timestope, they talk about this unfair or uneven distribution that's built into the system that limits everybody from getting in. But there's a logic flaw here. There's a problem in our thinking when we focus only on this challenge of unfair distribution in mining. We seem to miss the problem in the value that cryptocurrencies are providing. And I want to talk about this logic flaw. I want to talk about an issue I have with Timestope and other cryptocurrencies that are in the same vein. And don't take this as something that I'm saying is a deal breaker and a huge issue, that it's a big problem that would just cause me to never recommend it. I'm not saying that. But I am saying there's a flaw in the logic. When we start to say things like, hey, uneven distribution, people can't get in on the mining on all of this, is that really a problem? I want you to think about that for a minute. Just think about the macro view, the full view of this issue for a minute. See, the problem is that Bitcoin doesn't have an unfair distribution It's the problem that the perception of Bitcoin has become so expensive. At the time of this video, somewhere around $18,000 of Bitcoin. How do we get in on that? And people kind of get to this point where it's FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. How do I get in on a cryptocurrency like that? I definitely can't mine it. Well, why can you not mine it? You can't mine it because there are so many corporations and organizations in mining because Bitcoin is worth so much that, man, there is just no way I can get involved in all of this. But there is the logic flaw. Let me ask you this. Do you have to mine to get cryptocurrency? Do you have to get involved in the mining process to obtain it? No, you can buy it just on your own. And so it's this problem that it seems like Bitcoin has forced everyone out of the market, but really the problem with Bitcoin is that it's so expensive that people feel like they can't get in on it. And if that doesn't make a lot of sense to you, let me illustrate this with an analogy from the 1800s. Let's talk about the old school gold rush in California. If you're not familiar with this, here's what happened. Initially, the discovery of gold was by individuals who certainly profited well from the discovery, but soon after, it followed a rush of new spectators, and it was driving up an economy seemingly out of nowhere. And beyond that, the demand for gold discovery just led to huge organizations getting involved in the process of finding, mining, and making money out of gold. I mean, it was nearly impossible for a commoner to just successfully mine gold. Now, does that sound familiar? It does, doesn't it? It sounds just like Bitcoin, what I just described, this evolution of large corporate mining getting involved in Bitcoin, forcing the rest of us out of the mining process altogether. But think about that for a minute. That demand and that huge corporate mining drive is causing such a demand in Bitcoin that the prices truly skyrocketed. If it weren't for all of the uptake in the activity of Bitcoin, it wouldn't be worth what it is today. You wouldn't see Bitcoin being discussed for the very first times in a legitimate way on places like CNBC. I mean, that's a good thing. But it seems to me that Bitcoin has really become a store of value. It's become an asset more than it has a cryptocurrency. And that's something that the Pi team, that's something that the Timestope team have all really focused on, is to say, look, we're happy for Bitcoin, but it's really become a store of value. It's become an asset, and we're still missing the currency piece of this. Okay, that makes a little bit of sense. I can follow that. I just wanted to talk about this logic flaw of, I don't think the problem of unfair distribution that's mentioned so often is really the issue. The real issue is that if I want to get in on Bitcoin, I certainly can't go mine it. The only way I can get in on it is I can buy Bitcoin. And keep in mind, because I can buy it in small increments, what we call Satoshis, I can put in $5, $20 a month and get right in on Bitcoin mining. And by the way, if you're interested in this idea of limiting monthly buys and small amounts of cryptocurrency to build revenue, check out this video right here on dollar cost averaging. It's a great video. It'll talk about everything you need to know. Make sure you go see that video as well. Okay, so coming back to all of this, there are advantages in this misperception. And one of those advantages is simply this. There's lots of people that want to get in on mining something rather than buying something. And I get that because we don't have the resources, we don't have the money to get involved in a cryptocurrency. We want to go back to the old days of Bitcoin and get in on something as an early adopter and mine free or essentially free, just like the old school CPU miners who have now sold all their Bitcoin and driving around in moon Lambos. I understand that. I was aware of the Bitcoin back in those days, and that's the value of something like Timestope, is it offers the ability for lots of users to get in on this early and ramp up user adoption into the millions of users seemingly overnight. That's awesome. I understand why the drive in the supply and demand are there for a different kind of cryptocurrency like Timestope. So let's talk a little bit more about Timestope, what it is and what I think about it. In the very beginnings of the white paper, they talk about their perception of this problem that the supply of Bitcoin, remember it's 21 million total, is simply too small to support the entire user base. Now again, I disagree with this philosophy simply because Bitcoin, even though it is 21 million, can be split into smaller increments called Satoshis, as I mentioned. And so Whether Bitcoin stays at 18,000, it goes down to 1,000, it goes up to $1 million in 5 years, whatever the number is, it can be split up into divisions. And so because of that, it gives us the ability to where Bitcoin is attainable. So I don't think this whole issue of 21 million is a supply is too small. Satoshi built Bitcoin to be a deflationary concept so that over time, the value of Bitcoin would rise and rise and rise. Now, again, don't get on the hate train with me. I'm just telling you my opinions. I don't like to hold punches because I have nothing to gain from all this. I'm going to give you my honest opinion. That is not necessarily a bad thing. As I mentioned, the awesome thing about Timestop is because it is incentivizing its users in a way that says, hey, you can get in on this early and you can mine in a fair way without having to go buy something. I get the adoption goes up, so let's take advantage of that. So how does that work with Timestop? The thing that they talk about in the white paper, and I think this is really pretty awesome, I think it's kind of a brilliant idea, is this. They say, you know, there's one constant in this universe, and maybe Einstein would disagree with what I'm about to say, but at least locally here on Earth with you and me, there's one constant, and it's that of time. What is time? Time is something that we are all granted. You get 24 hours in your day, I get 24 hours in my day. I have the same number of increments of minutes and hours in my day that everybody else gets. From the richest person in the world to the very poorest, we are all equal in that regard. So why don't we use this idea of a constant of time that we're all granted to develop a cryptocurrency that incentivizes based upon that concept? That's the idea of Timestop. It's a universal equilibrium that we all have in an equal basis. And so Timestop uses this idea of time in 24-hour periods to build a cryptocurrency in which you are mining and you are building into this system by giving your valuable time. Now, don't think of it as time like I'm sitting in front of an app and just waiting and waiting and waiting and looking at ads or something like that. No. It's just simply using the constant of time to say this is something we all have fairly, and let's use that as the basis to generate Timestop itself. And so they call you as an active miner in the system a witness. And so while you are working, while you are active, here's the way the distribution model works. You get 60% of what you earn, and 40%, which seems really high, and honestly it is really high, goes to the person who invited you. So now you know. All of the people that are constantly posting in my channel, hey Wes, when are you going to review Timestop? I understand why they're saying it. They want more action. They want more traction in the system. And when I review this, you're going to get a lot of views. You're going to get a lot of people talking about it. And so those that invite somebody else are going to get 40% take home. I mean, that's pretty awesome. I do think that number is probably pretty high. I would love to see over time the Timestop team continue to reduce that, to continue to incentivize people further. But right now, I guess the number is okay. It's really kind of this viral marketing. It's the same thing that the pie team does to say, hey, look, if you invite somebody, not only are they going to get an extra pie and you're going to get an extra pie, but also the number of people you've invited directly impacts the mining rate that you get. Timestop is the same way, it's just a 60-40 split. So if I invite thousands of people into my platform using Timestop, what happens out of it? I'll tell you, I'm going to get 40% of what they earn. That's kind of awesome if Timestop eventually has a value. So that's the distribution model. It's a viral model. It's kind of like a multi-level marketing scheme or pyramid scheme model. Not exactly, but you guys know what I'm talking about. And so that's why these systems grow. They're preying upon, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but they're preying upon two things. One, the fear of missing out. I didn't get involved in Bitcoin mining and I want to get involved in it. And two, a model that incents lots and lots of people to get involved in it by inviting other people. And that's why it gets spammy. That's why you're going to see in the comments in this video, and you look at all my other videos around these kinds of cryptocurrencies, lots and lots and lots of people saying, hey, here's my code, use it. And I'm cool with that. I have no issue with that. I'm still going to give you a, hey, good luck, hope that works for you. But that's what happens. And so if you wonder and you feel like, man, this seems like a really scammy cryptocurrency, that's why, just because people are incented to get in on it because they truly believe that it's going to go somewhere. So cut those people some slack. If you don't want to get in on it, you're watching this video to find out about Timestop, that's the cut. That's the skinny. That's where it comes out of. Now, a couple last things that we want to talk about. Just like Pi, because of the way that we're using and incentivizing time as an equal distribution method for everybody, That means that my identity is super important. What if I had two Wes's running around? Think about that for a minute. What if I had two platforms that I am running, or 3 or 4, whatever the number may be, that are all mining time? That is super unfair, because the idea is saying there is one me and I get one constant of 24 hours in my day. If I have two of me, I clone myself and I'm mining for myself twice at the same time. That's double the income and double the potential that you would get. That's unfair distribution. And so just like with pi, Timestop, one of the critical cruxes or linchpins to the entire thing working is that it must identify users. It has a know your customer system to say there can only be one witness for one human. I can't have one witness mining 3 or 4 or 5 devices. It totally breaks the system. There is technical background behind all of this. I don't normally get into that stuff in my videos. It's called BFT, Byzantine Fault Tolerance. Take a look at what Stellar is doing. That's sort of like the grandfather of this whole idea. But just know that users are very important. And so where Bitcoin, where Ethereum, none of that matters because it's how much hash power you put into it. It's what stake you provide into this system. Their linchpin is totally different. It must be one witness for one human being, and there cannot be more. There cannot be multiple people mining on multiple different platforms. It just breaks everything all together. Now, there is a whole lot more to Timestop. Their white paper is honestly really good. It's got a lot of details around it and information on how it works. Timestop, however, like Pi, is closed source. I can't see it. I have no wallet. I have no blockchain I can look at. Both of these cryptocurrencies are really new, and that's what makes them innovative, and that's why I'm covering them in my series on innovative cryptocurrencies. But I just want you to know, if you want to look into it more, you're not going to be able to do that quite yet. And I'm not going to cover all of the intrinsic details of Timestop today. In this video, it would take way too long, and I don't think your attention span is there, and definitely neither is mine. But just know, I'm interested to see where Timestop goes, and if it matures and if it grows, I'll certainly be happy to cover additional things. Let me know what questions you have around Timestop, and I can try to answer those. The one thing I won't answer right now is what I think the price of Timestop will be. And the reason I won't is because it is way too speculative and way too early. And the second I give you speculation what it thinks, I'm now a pumper. I don't want to be a pumper. It goes against my mantra on this channel. If I have reasonable scientific data and evidence on what I think it'll be worth, I'll be glad to tell you my price speculations. But right now, just not going to go there. The one last thing I did want to cover is who the creators and founders of Timestop are. Now, I have not talked to them. I have looked them up. They are all South Korean. I'm really not very knowledgeable on the tech and startup and innovator scene in South Korea. Most of what I know about South Korea is awesome food and StarCraft. I am a huge StarCraft fan. But I don't know much more about them. I have looked them up. I only found one of the founders on LinkedIn. I added them. They have not added me back. So if you watch this, make sure you go and hit the accept button. I'd love to get to know the founders. I'd love to see where they come from. I can't say just reading their bios on the Timestop page, it seems like they have the street cred. It seems like they know what they're doing. Now, I can't vet that in other ways that I normally would of like US-based startup founders like myself, but hey, we'll see what comes out of it. But I do like the founders. I find that they come out of South Korea. I think that's awesome. I want to see more and more different nationalities get involved in cryptocurrency and creating their own. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. We'll just kind of see where it goes. The last thing is, have you noticed I didn't pull out my phone right here to show you Timestop? Here's why. I'm an iOS guy. I've always been an iOS guy for a really long time when I made that decision. All of my home devices are iOS. There is not yet an iOS app for Timestop. So I held and stopped this video right at the time for a review of the app itself. I went to go look for it. I'm like, why can I not find this in the App Store? They haven't been authorized yet. So don't know where that's at in the process, but once the iOS app for Timestop is approved, I will absolutely share another video of me creating it, getting started, and what it looks like inside the app itself. But because I don't use Android, I don't have Android, I'm not going to do that in this video. So there you have it. I want to know what you think. What do you think about Timestop compared to Pi? Are you mining both? Are you doing one or the other? What do you think is the future for these? I'd love to see some insightful comments down below. If you know some additional things about Timestop that you want to point me to, some things you want me to focus on, just let me know. I would love to cover those in a future video. And lastly, if you have questions around Timestop, by all means, ask them. I'll answer them where I can. I will stay away from price speculation, but if there's something you want to know, I'd be glad to give you my input. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video. I had fun making it. I absolutely love doing this, and I'm going to continue doing this as long as you guys continue to give me some love and feedback. You can just hit the like button, you can hit the subscribe button. I think it's right down there. Yeah, there it is. Just hit that little button right there. Once you hit it, we're good to go. I would absolutely love to have you in my sphere of influence. I would love to continue to interact with you. I hope you guys have a great day. Be nice to each other, and until next time, I will see you later.